Oh man. Hey guys, it's Holly. I'm back from my European trip. It was so awesome, but I'm also really excited to be here with you guys and virtually hang out. I will be doing a recap very soon. The only problem is I left the GoPro at our Airbnb in Athens. Don't forget your GoPro at an Airbnb 6,340 miles away. Actually, that's a perfect transition into this video where we're kicking off a new series called Don't Be Like Holly, which will basically consist of me sharing different experiences in which I made poor decisions and those led me to experience disastrous things, shall we call them. Now looking back, I do realize that some things were out of my control, but I also have to analyze myself and realize that I certainly could have done things better. So, I hope you guys enjoy this video all about that one time my hood flipped up on me in the middle of the freeway when I was going 70 miles an hour. Alright, so a little bit of context first. Let's roll the calendar back 15 years. I was 20 years old, going to college, and working as a waitress. I was driving my very first car that I had purchased with my own money. It was a white Saturn SL1 from 1993. I had purchased this car after the previous car I had been driving had exploded in the middle of the desert in Arizona, but that's another story for another time. One day I was driving into work and I was a little bit stressed and a little bit distracted, and the driver in front of me made a sudden stop and I just didn't have time. I don't know, I hit him, okay? I rear-ended him, I'm sorry. I get out of the car, check the damages, realize I didn't really do anything to his car, but my hood basically went like this. Dook. The bump was a little bit too high for me to see over, so I kind of just like pushed it down and jammed it in even further. And I went on my merry way after exchanging insurance and all of that jazz. Now, I had been driving the car around in this condition for quite a while. I honestly don't even know how long. But one day, my dad gives me a call and he asks me, "Hey honey, when's the last time you changed the oil on the Saturn?" I was like, "Dad, honestly, I don't even remember." He said, "You know, it's very important to change your oil every 3,000 miles or 10,000, I can't remember how many. Don't be like Holly." But long story short, he told me it was very important for me to go do that as soon as possible. So it was the 30th of December and I actually had a wedding that afternoon, but I thought, you know what, this is urgent, I better do it now. Who knows what could happen to this car? Cars explode whenever they feel like it, so let's take care of what we need to take care of. Now, I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but at that time, those Juicy Couture velour sweatsuits were huge. Well, I don't know if they were huge, but I had one and it was bright red and that's what I was wearing as I headed to the most logical place to do an oil change. Walmart. When I arrived at Walmart, I realized that more than a few people had the same idea that I had. There was a huge line in the automotive area, so I asked the guy that was taking care of everyone how long he thought it would take, and he said about an hour, and I said to myself, I really don't want to do this, but I should probably wait because again, I remembered how urgent it sounded when my dad talked to me. When it's finally my turn, the guy realizes that the hood is completely jammed and he asks me what happened. And I say, well, as you can imagine, I rear-ended somebody and ever since then I just haven't touched the hood. So he got up in there and unjammed it somehow. And when he checked the oil, he said, "You know what, it looks fine. I honestly wouldn't do an oil change right now. Maybe you could wait another month. Plus, it's still gonna be another 45-minute wait." And I was like, ain't nobody got time for that. And I decided to go home. However, at that point we were faced with the issue of the hood not being securely held down anymore. And he told me that it was no problem, that all I had to do was buy a few bungee cords and he would take care of the rest for me. Well, young Holly, so naive, didn't think about it twice. I said, "What bungee cords do I need to buy? Let me know." Boom, 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 here you go, here's the money. And I watched him, you know, get up under that car and he tied things and secured things and moved his arms around and it looked very manly and very difficult. So I was like, all right, well, we're golden. And he said, "That should hold you over for a couple of weeks until you get this fixed." It didn't even cross my mind to doubt what he was saying. Clearly he knows what he's doing. He's a professional. So I was off on my merry way and started to drive home. And this is where it gets good. Alright, so cut to me driving home. I lived about 5 miles away from this Walmart, so it was no big deal. And the freeway that I had to take had 3 regular lanes and 1 carpool lane. So I immediately, with all the confidence in the world, stepped on that accelerator and got in the fast lane. Started to go the speed limit, which was as far as I can remember, 70 miles an hour. And I was just thinking about all the things that I had to do so that I could get to the wedding on time. I need to get home, I need to jump in the shower, blah, 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 buy the gift last minute, as we all do. When all of a sudden, I see the hood of my car wobble a bit and then just go boom! Oh my goodness. What's going on? I cannot see a thing. And by the way, I've told many people this story and they're like, well, why didn't you just look under the hood? There is no under the hood. There was no space, there was no gap. And for the people saying you should have stuck your head out the window, I'm sorry, the window's all the way over here. There's no way I could have done that. It was a huge space of darkness and then the windows outside. And I'm sitting there like, what the heck am I supposed to do? What is going on? This is happening. Is this real life? I'm getting stressed out just remembering. The crazy thing is, whenever you're involved in an accident, after you hear the big bang, you're pretty much done, right? Everything that's gonna happen already happened. But not here. I hear that bang, I realize the predicament that I'm in, and I have to perform under pressure. My first thought is to brake because I cannot see, but obviously I'm terrified of being rear-ended, so I don't do that. I let up on the accelerator, and I'm like, what do I do? Where do I go? Does anyone realize what I'm going through right now? Nobody cared. People kept driving at the same speed as if nothing had happened. I really just wanted to get over to the shoulder, but it was virtually impossible because I had 2 lanes of cars going 70 miles an hour with no brakes that I would have had to get over. And it's just terrifying to get over and not know if the cars in front of you are stopped or if there's a curve in the freeway. It's like driving blind. All of a sudden, a little light bulb goes off in my head and I'm like, hey, what if I stop kind of on that line between the carpool lane and the fast lane? Because as you guys know, there's always kind of like a little bit more space between the carpool lane and the fast lane because they're trying to really, really let you know that you are not supposed to cross all those lines. So that was my brilliant idea, and I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna aim? How am I gonna know what the heck's going on? Ah! Somehow, some way, slowly tapping on that brake, I finally managed to stop without hitting anything. And I stopped right on that line as planned. All right, okay, I made it. Okay, what do I do? What's next? What do I have to do? I don't want to die. Everyone's still going past me at 70 miles an hour. I decide that the most important thing is to get visibility. So I bust open the door, run around, and get over to my hood, climb on top of it, and go to reach for the actual hood itself. As I push it down, I realize this thing is so mangled, it looks like a crumpled up piece of paper. It is not going to fit anywhere. I mean, if it wasn't lodging in before where it's supposed to go, it is definitely not gonna work now. So how the heck am I gonna get this thing to stay down? What would you have done in that moment? Whatever you said was probably a better decision than the one I made. I decided to stomp on my hood. Right there, between the fast lane and the carpool lane, I started to stomp on my hood, and then I started to jump and jump and jump on my hood. Imagine a family driving by. Honey, did you see that girl in the red sweatsuit jumping on the hood of her parked car in the carpool lane? I wonder what that was about. Welcome to my life. Now, if only that was the climax of this story, but no, it gets crazier. So as I'm jumping on the hood, releasing my fury, I'm looking at the traffic that's coming toward me and I realize that a Suburban is basically flying at me in the carpool lane. This thing was huge. It was the first car to actually be in the carpool lane in this whole time. I should have just parked there, whatever. Ugh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. So in that moment, I realize I left my car door open. In my frantic frenzy, I left my car door open. Seriously, Holly? What are you doing with your life? I had about 1.2 seconds to think about it and I said, collision equals not good. Holly will fly. Holly will die. Do not want to die today. Okay, must get down, must avoid collision. Jumped off the hood, slammed the door shut, and I kid you not, and I'm not exaggerating, in that moment, the Suburban flies past my face. I'm standing there plastered to my car like, okay, all right, I don't know what to do now. Okay. I am lucky enough in this life to not have triple D boobs, and now I understand why. I am absolutely positive that that Suburban would have taken them right off. I open the door, I jump back in, and I sit down. All right, what next? What do I gotta do? Who do I call? Do I wave a flag? Like, how do I get someone's attention? Help me, please. At this point, it becomes clear to me that I need to get over to the shoulder. I have my hazards on, obviously. So as I'm trying to scoot over to the right, I can't put my blinker on because I have my hazards on, and it's much more important to let people know that I'm a rolling hazard at this point. So basically, I started to wave my arm like a maniac, which probably nobody even saw, as I tried to get over. Now, if I started to accelerate too much, the hood would grab some air and start to flip up. I mean, seriously, I couldn't even go more than 5 miles an hour. So I'm like, okay, here we go, okay. I think I can do this, I'm going. And I'd look in my rearview mirror and see how the cars were like, okay, I didn't get rear-ended, okay. Oh, I'm driving too fast, my hood's going up again, okay. Whew. Next lane, you can do this, Holly, you can do this. You don't want to die today. Let's go. Whew, one more lane. Here we go. Come on, guys, here we go. I'm going. I'm sorry, I can't go any faster. I'm sorry. Here I go. Whew. Just one more, gotta get over the shoulder. Yeah. I make it to the blessed shoulder. And I've never been happier to see a shoulder in my life. All right, okay, I'm here, okay. That was so crazy, right? Like, guys, like, anyone? Nobody? Okay. Who do I call? Who do I tell? My roommates? No, they're all hanging out with their families. It's Christmas break. My parents? I don't even know how to get a hold of them. I don't even have a calling card. But I just survived a near-death experience. Nobody cares. I'm gonna go home. And yes, that is how I got home. I drove on the shoulder at 4 miles an hour until I arrived. Now, for those of you that are worried about the wedding, I did make it. I asked a friend to come get me. I was definitely not going to drive that car under those conditions. And the next day, I took the car directly to a body shop, driving at 4 miles an hour, and I asked them how much they would charge me to just rip that thing off and get it out of my sight. They said they'd do it for free. I gladly accepted the offer. They ripped it off and I was done. It was so refreshing to know that nothing could possibly flip up on me that I drove my car without a hood for approximately 2 months. Well, in all honesty, I was also trying to figure out the best way to get a hold of a new hood at a good price. But yes, when I look back on my insane freeway experiences, this is the one where I truly start to shake when I remember it because it depended on me. I had to perform under pressure, and if I didn't, I was going to lose it. My life, I mean. Oh, another funny anecdote. The next day I decided to go to Pasadena, where the Rose Bowl parade happens every year on the 1st of January. So it was the 31st of December, and all kinds of people actually line up starting then, and they basically camp out so they can get good seats. So I wanted to take a look at what all was going on, and I'm driving down Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena, and I remember very specifically there was a beautiful Mercedes in front of me, and this car went by without a hiccup. But then here comes my car, and all of a sudden 7 guys come out of the woodwork with paper plates full of shaving cream, and they're all just like, pop, pop. Even inside of my actual engine, they just threw those plates in and it started sizzling. Shaving cream. They were like, clearly this girl does not care about her car at all. I can't blame the guys. About a month after this incident happened, I finally decided it was time to get that oil change done, so I went back to Walmart, and as I walked up to the counter, I realized that the same guy was there. I was like, oh my goodness, this is my chance. I'm going to let him know what he put me through. As soon as he saw me, he was like, oh, you're that one girl that came in like a month ago and your hood was jammed? And I was like, mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, that same day, I was driving home at 70 miles an hour on the freeway and my hood flipped up on me and I almost died. And he goes, oh, that happened to my mom once. Seriously, dude? So in conclusion, guys, don't be like Holly. Don't trust some random dude that you just met. Don't put your life in his hands, especially if what he's suggesting puts off a red flag in your head. Listen to your intuition. Be careful and be cautious. And by all means, if your hood flips up on the freeway, stop as quickly and as safely as you can and stay in the car. Anyway, guys, that's the end of my dramatic story about that one time my hood flipped up on me on the freeway. I hope it is of use to you all. I am so happy to be kicking off this series. I've had it in my head for a long time, and believe me, guys, I have a lot of stories to share with you. Lucky for you, I've made a lot of mistakes. Maybe there's something you can learn from them. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know in the comments what you would have done in my situation. And you can also let me know that you think I'm a hazard behind the wheel. It's okay, I can take it. Talk to you guys later.